Hello, everybody. Welcome along to your Monday night Rangers Rabble Women's Show. I'm Brian, the host, and I am joined tonight by Demi, Carr, and Wolf. Demi, how are we?
Yeah, I'm all right. Thanks yourself.
Yes, good. Thanks. Good. Thanks, Carr. You well?
I am all right.
Good stuff. Wolf, how are we?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm not too bad. A wee 3-game day yesterday for the first time ever. So yeah, I'm okay.
I know that's some effort watching 3 games.
Well, it was either go to a game between the two Rangers games or sit in the car because Debbie couldn't even go for a drink because she was dropping me off in Dundee and then had to drive home, so she couldn't even go to the bar. So it was, what did we do? Do we sit in the car? Do we sit in a cafe drinking coffee, or do we go and find a game of football? And we found a game of football, so we went to Rossvale against Livingston in the SWPL too. Decent enough game of football. Demi was chuffed with hot dogs, so she was happy enough.
Absolutely. Cheaper hot dogs than pies, so that's even more of a shock. Was it any good?
It was the hot dog was for £2. It was very, very good.
Well,
the pie wasn't great.
Oh, right. Oh, well. So the hot dogs were a thumbs up, the pies were a thumbs down. So that's where to go, folks, if you want a good hot dog. Carr, how did you feel after the game yesterday winning 6-0?
I mean, I was quite happy, but also didn't really mean that much considering what had happened on Wednesday night. So it didn't really make me feel much better, but it was nice that we did what we needed to do.
Yeah, well, there's that sort of niggling sort of thing in the back of your head where we're doing okay against the rest, but it's this hoodoo over the top three, isn't it?
Well, as I put on as I stuck a comment in at the end of the afternoon rabble earlier today, with you and Mark were on just as you were talking about tonight's pod, just as you were wrapping up. The women's team appear to be the polar opposite of the men's team.
Yeah.
The men can get up for the big games, play well against the so-called better teams, and absolutely shite the bed against the dross, if you like. Whereas the women's team's sweeping the smaller teams away, and then they play the teams round about them, and they just don't turn up. You know, I mean, that Glasgow City game on Wednesday was, both teams weren't great, but unfortunately City were better than we were because they know how to manage games like that better than we do. You know, it just seemed that they seem, to me, the way City played on Wednesday, they basically went, well, we'll just sit back because Rangers will make a mistake. They'll give us a chance. And as long as we're tight at the back, we will get a chance and we just need to take it. And that's exactly what happened. Whereas against the likes of Motherwell, we seem to go for it.
Yeah, Carr, is that a bit of a worry, like heading into these last few games, that's the feeling that some fans have got over the team?
I mean, a little bit, because Celtic should be fine because we've beaten them away from home, not comfortably, but we've managed to do it the last couple of games that we played them away. But I don't know, the rest of them, Hearts could potentially be the one that trips us up again. Think of last season, the season before, that we struggled. I don't know what it is, because we know we can play better than that when we play with a bit of freedom and we play quite well, but we just seem to forget how to do that in big games. We just, as Wolf has politely said, we just can't do it.
Yeah, Demi, it's not the time. It's not the time of the season to start feeling like this, is it?
No, but it's not over. Like as we were saying yesterday, it's not over till it's done. We've got to hope and pray that City and Hibs is a draw on Sunday, and if it is, we win all of our games. There you go, we've done it. Is that going to happen? Probably not. But both City and Hibs are still. They've got a good chance of winning the league, so you've got to hope that they're both kind of try too much to win the game, that the game ends up nice and balanced. But that could just be the optimism. But it's not over until the full time whistle of that game goes and one of the teams have won.
Absolutely. Keep believing, Carr. Keep believing.
I'm trying. I'm honestly trying. I was doing maths earlier. I was trying to work it out, and when you get to that point where you're doing maths and ifs and buts, it's not very good. But
sorry, that might have been my fault, Carr. I apologise for that one. And Sniper, to answer your question, we're sitting third. City are second, 2 points ahead of us, and Hibs are first, 5 points ahead of us.
Yes, that is the current state of play. And Rangers played Motherwell yesterday where they won 6-0. How did you feel the team played, Rolf? Was it a good game in your opinion, or was it what we've just been speaking about, fairly easy considering the opposition?
Well, as I keep saying, I like doing things chronologically, so I was just completely forgetting Wednesday happened, or we're going to talk about that debacle that was Glasgow City.
Well, I was going to leave that one until later, but if you want to do it first.
Well, I'd rather do it chronologically and finish on something happier than something sad, to be perfectly honest.
Okay, so Wednesday night, obviously, we played
Not right,
Glasgow
tell you
City.
how to do your job,
No, that's fine. I was going to leave the bad news to last, but we'll get the bad news out first. Obviously, Wednesday, Glasgow City, Wolf. I mean, how do you explain that?
Well, like I said a few minutes ago, I mean, it was as if City sat in and went, well, we'll just sit back because Rangers will make mistakes. They'll give us the ball as long as we keep it tight at the back. Because I noticed, the game was at Ibrox, and obviously, the sight lines are really good at Ibrox. You can see really well because we were in the front of the Sandy Jardin because that's what they opened. They're a very, very poor crowd, I have to say. I was very disappointed in the size of the crowd at Ibrox on the Wednesday night. They'd have been probably as well keeping it at Broadwood in hindsight. But you could see from where we were sitting, particularly in the first half, every time we got the ball, City had a rigid 5 across the back. And the way we are playing, we're not using the width of the pitch. We're not playing wide. The wingers are turning in all the time. And we're not trying to get the ball over the top of them. So they just sat in. And it's as if their game plan was, we'll sit in and we'll just soak up anything Rangers can give us, and then they'll make a mistake. And we made the mistake. I mean, to be perfectly honest, there wasn't a lot of chances in the game from memory because I purposely haven't watched it back because I really don't want to. Again, a goalkeeping mistake cost us the game. It was a very, very, very poor, just poor. Just like we've been against, we're constantly saying it. We struggle to beat the bigger teams. The teams with the betters. We can't beat Hibs. We haven't beat City. We struggle to beat Celtic, although they're very, very poor. We've even struggled to beat Hearts, who are probably the least of the top 5, but the only one that's fairly comfortable is Motherwell. I mean, we've had 2 clean sheets in the last half a dozen league games, and they've both been against Motherwell. So, City just seem to think Rangers will make a mistake, and we did. Because they know they're not chasing goals, because they know goal difference isn't going to come into it, because if it does, we'll win it easy, but they know that's probably not going to be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, Carr, we bemoaned the goal difference scenario last year. We've sorted that problem out, but we're not in the position to win because of the goal difference. So it's totally flipped, isn't it?
Yeah, well, points are the most important thing. That should have been the first thing that we're focusing on instead of it being about goal difference, because that really doesn't matter at the end of the day unless you're at a point where points are tight. But we've just struggled. We scored a lot of goals at the start of the season, but we've not really been doing that a lot lately. And I mean, I did enjoy them tweeting yesterday, or whatever you call it, posting yesterday after the game, that we kept a clean sheet again. Against Motherwell, which we're really expected to do. What difference does that make realistically in the grand scheme of things? Is that where we're at as a club at the moment, that we're keeping a clean sheet against Motherwell?
Yeah, I mean, we'll speak about the team just now. Demi, Fife and goals, Docherty, Hill, Eddie, Hay, McLean, Cornett, McCleary, Lafay, Hardy, and Wilkinson. So was that a sort of team that you were reasonably happy with going into it?
I mean, I said on the pod last week I would have expected 4 at the back against Glasgow City. I know she seems to have playing 3 at the back, but it didn't work against Hibs. It didn't work against Hibs the time before that. It didn't work against City the time before past, etc., etc. You get the point. So I'm not really sure why she decided to stick with 3 at the back. But personnel-wise, I didn't really expect it to be much different than who did start. I think the only debate was sort of which keeper started, and I wanted Vic to start, but she didn't. And yeah, we all know what happened there, so I won't go into that one again.
Yeah, well, this 3 at the backs has reared its head a few times this season. I'm afraid it's coming back again. As Debbie's pointed out, it's the last few games we've played the likes of Hibs, the likes of Glasgow City, it hasn't worked. What do you think the reason is for persevering with this formation that isn't maybe not working?
I don't know why she perseveres with it. It's obviously what Joe prefers to use, but she seems to prefer playing three at the back, but doesn't want us to play wide. If you play three at the back, you have to play with width because your fullbacks are wing backs, so the midfielders in front of them have to push up. And as we keep saying, they keep coming. I mean, they keep coming in field. She's playing. She tends to play the wingers on the wrong side. And I mean, Mia's always turning. When Mia's out wide, she's always turning in. Brogan's the same. I can't remember the last time a Rangers winger actually beat a player. Took a player on and beat them. You can forgive somebody for taking the fullback on and not getting past them, but you just not take them on at all. And the amount of times in the last couple of games where there's been a player out wide and whoever's got it in the middle of the park looks up and plays it. If the player's out wide on the right, they play it left. If the player's out wide on the left, they play it right. Where the more congestion the players are. I just don't understand why you play three at the back and won't use the width of the park. And not only that, they don't even try and play it long and stick it in behind the fullback and get a winger to chase on it, because we don't really have a winger, because the wingers is a wing back. So if you're banging it long, that means you're trying to get it in transition. So your wing back's probably still in the defensive area, so they're not going to catch if you do that anyway. It mystifies me why we play three at the back and don't use the width, particularly when the game's at Ibrox when the pitch is massive.
Yeah, I mean, Card, our wings are probably a position where we're pretty blessed with pace, aren't we? We've got the likes of Brogan and Mia. A big pitch like that, you would expect the wingers to get a lot of joy because there's so much space. I was thinking that Mia and Brogan would, start, and they didn't. And Mia didn't start. And you're just thinking, use that pace when you've got it.
Yeah, and no discredit to Jodie, but I don't understand why Jodie started on the wing, and when we've got Lizzie and Mia sat on the bench, that would be either been preferable in that position. I don't understand why that was the choice made. Same with Camille Fay being in behind instead of Kirsty Howard. But Joe likes to make decisions, and I don't really understand it. But when you've got the pace, as you say, and wingers that are good at crossing balls into the box, and then we're not using that, we're probably not even telling them to do that. It doesn't seem like, because they're not doing that. I don't know if it's over instruction, if they're getting confused by all the things they've been told to do, and then everyone's too scared to try something different, to be creative, because maybe they'll get in trouble. I don't know what it is, but it's not working, and it hasn't worked for the last 4 months, and yet she's persisting with it, and it makes no sense to me.
Yeah. I think, Brian, another issue with Wednesday night's team was, we all said it last week, you can't play Wilko and Rio up front together against a team, against anyone really, but against a team like Glasgow City. And what does she do? She plays Wilko and Rio up front, but has Wilko in practically sitting in the midfield. So bizarre, because it doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, Wolf will speak about the goal. Well, the only goal of the game. What on earth was Jenna Fife doing there?
Not a clue, because I think it was Brenna Lavera that was going for the ball. She was never catching the ball from watching it live. Obviously, I haven't watched it back because I just couldn't bring myself to. But even if she was catching it, she was heading away from goal. Yeah. So why your goalkeeper tries to win the ball? If she commits herself to come out, just stand tall. Means she's going to have to get round you, and by that time, so hopefully somebody's back in defence to guard the goal, if you like. But to dive in and try and get the ball when the striker's taking it away from goal mystifies me, and it's a penalty all day. And Lavera's not going to miss. You know what I mean, Paul says she dangled a leg, but I mean, if your keeper doesn't go down, it doesn't matter if you dangle a leg. I mean, as soon as the keeper catches her, it's going to be a penalty. You know what I mean? And that's what they're waiting for. We make a mistake, they score, and they just sat back, and if they got another chance, they'd probably have taken it. But the second half was very much of a nothing, because we didn't have the guy to get through their packed defence. They were quite happy to sit on a 1-0 lead, because as we said, goal difference isn't going to matter this year. It's all about winning the game, and they wanted to be sure they won the game.
Yeah, I mean, Carr, it's annoying when it's such a slender sort of 1-0. It's and the way it happened, I think, is the frustrating thing, isn't it? It wasn't like they cut us open and they scored a wonderful goal It was another mistake, and you could, it's almost like a gifted goal, isn't it?
I mean, I don't even call it a mistake. That's just what Jenna does, and she has done for as long as I've been watching the team. She's prone to making weird decisions like that. There's no need for her to do that. I get that she's trying to get the ball, but then she knows that if she doesn't get the ball, it's going to be a penalty. So I don't understand why she's choosing to do that. But then she's always done that, and it seems to be a thing that our goalkeepers are told to do. So I don't know if that's the case. I don't know, but we had nothing. City had 6 shots. We had 5. So realistically, that would have ended 0-0 if she didn't do that, because really neither team was creating that many chances. But City were completely nullifying us in the midfield, and we kept persisting with going through the middle in the congested area instead of using width, as we talked about. And it just came down to them being better organised than us. And obviously we're disappointed and we're annoyed, but the team just knows they can play better, so just go and play better. It's not difficult.
Absolutely.
It's football. It's simple. Just run down the pitch and put the ball back in the net.
Get you in the half. Well, before the game at half time and revile them up. I mean, Demi, it's. We all know it's the sort of this split is very difficult purely because the games are coming thick and fast. You're playing everybody in the top 6, so it's all difficult games. But it's just, as somebody said in the comments earlier, I'll find it. Do you think playing at Ibrox hinders us rather than helps us?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we're sort of playing the bigger teams, like the sort of this season, your Cities and your Cities, your Celtics and your Hibs, that doesn't, okay, yeah, we bet Hearts 5-0, but Hearts started the season okay. We played them at Ibrox, when they had sort of fallen off a cliff a bit. It seems to be when we play informed teams at Ibrox, it just doesn't work well for us. What I think also hinders us is swapping your team every week. Now, I get that we said that, squad rotation is important, but, I think we sort of meant for subs and, like maybe try and play the same players consistently, and you might see, better results if you don't just swap and change it. And I mean, there's no point when she plays Jodie McCleary, she seems to be playing her as a wing back. Well, she's not a wing back, so that's not going to work. So maybe if, she played players in the right place, played consistently, I get there's injuries, but consistently, play the same players together and don't just pick names out of hats for your starting 11, because that seems to be how it's been going recently. And the subs seem to be the same. Let me just pick names out of hats and see who I can bring on.
Yeah. I mean, Rolf, it does seem to be every time we play at Ibrox, we don't do well. I mean, that place should do the opposite, shouldn't it? It shouldn't hinder you.
No, but as we've been saying, for some reason we're not playing with any width. And I mean, the Ibrox pitch is huge. I mean, we played the ball wide at Hampden in the semi-final against Aberdeen. Okay, it was Aberdeen, right? But we used the wings a bit then. Then we go to Ibrox in a league game against a team that we're fighting for a title with, and we just don't do it. And we don't, it's not even as if somebody's getting the ball, knocking it past their fullback and running on. I mean, Paul pointed out earlier on that I said, I can't remember the last time a Rangers winger beat a player. Me and Macaulay beat the fullback yesterday. I was against Motherwell. I mean, let's be honest. You know what I mean? That's against somebody that really they're lucky to be in the top 6. Against the better teams, the better organised teams with the better players, we seem scared to take folk on. I don't know why we play these games at Ibrox, right? I mean, as we said earlier, the crowd was really, really poor. I don't know what the crowd was on Wednesday, but it looked really, really poor. So they've been as well keeping it at Broadwood. I mean, to be honest, I think we should get out of Broadwood if we can. Get somewhere that's a bit more accessible for folk. But the Ibrox thing isn't working. I mean, even if they put it to Ibrox, they should maybe think that, okay, we'll only open certain sections of the stand, rather than have the whole in front of the Sandy Jardine with 2 or 3 people in here and 2 or 3 people on this bit, and it just doesn't. It can't look good from the pitch. It really can't. And they shouldn't need that. But they always say that players will always tell you it's great to the supporters behind you. I mean, the supporters tried the best they could, but I don't think the Ibrox thing works. I mean, I'm petrified for the next game at Ibrox because I really don't want to be hosting Hibs title party. But that's something we'll get to in the future. But you know what I mean? To play on a big pitch and not use wood mystifies me. Just absolutely, it absolutely mystifies me.
I mean, you've got to look at whoever was in charge of moving that game on Wednesday night to Ibrox. You know, the Waynes have just been off school for 2 weeks. So, you know, a lot of people aren't going to take their kids to a game on a Wednesday night when they've got school the next morning, particularly when the women's game is full of, you know, like younger kids. Because, you know, or when it goes to Ibrox, you know, like great day to take my kid to their first game because it's not going to be that busy. The Waynes have just been off school for 2 weeks. You wait for the Waynes to be back at school, 10 days? And then go, perfect, let's move a game to Ibrox. Rather than going, do you know what, it's the school holidays. The kids, you know, they could stay up late. Let's have it during the school holidays. Got to look at whoever made that decision.
Scheduling. We've not spoke about that much on this pod, have we?
No, but let's be honest. While we're on that, I mean, the scheduling for the split fixtures has actually been quite good from the point of view of going to games. Because I mean, with the exception of the second last game at the Orion, which clashes with the men's first team game at Ibrox against Dundee United, which is the last home game of the season for them, it's actually been all right. Because yesterday, because of that BMX event, which we found out about on Sunday, was the reason why Motherwell game was a 6 o'clock kickoff, because there was some BMX event on the Broadwood car park, which is the sort of thing you're up against when you're using a council facility, I guess. You know, the Hibs games at Ibrox, we can do that because it's the day after. It's the day after the last game, which coincidentally for the men's at Hibs in Edinburgh. Sorry, in Leith. Sorry, Carol. You know, so the scheduling after the splits actually worked quite well. They just need to get their ducks in a row and do that for the whole season. But Demi's right. Playing a midweek game at Ibrox to try and entice people to the game. Although, to counter that, I suppose Ibrox is easier to get to. And if you are taking kids, it's probably easier to get them there and back in a hurry from Ibrox, depending on where you stay, obviously, than it is from Broadwood. So the Wednesday night thing's not great for taking kids, irrespective of the venue, you know, to be honest. But that's just the joys of football.
But that's why I'm saying, if you are wanting to, you know, have the game at Ibrox, do it when kids can go. Given that, you know, they always say, oh, it's great to have all the kids there. They're the future of our club. But let's wait for them to go back to school and then have a game where they can't go anyway.
Yeah, but you can only move the home games that are scheduled. So, I mean, if there's nothing else scheduled on a Wednesday, you've got to go for it. I mean, we said last week, it was a surprise they moved 2 games. And to be perfectly honest, had the Motherwell game not been yesterday, and after the men's first team we played at Ibrox, I think they'd have moved all 3 of them.
Maybe would have. But obviously, yesterday, Carr, back to winning ways. 5 in goals. Docherty, Hill, Rafferty in the defence with Lizzie Arnott, McLean, Cornett, Mia McCauley, Laura Berry, Kirsty Howitt, and Katie Wilkinson. So a few changes there, Carr. I know it's an easy thing to say, but the youth players that are coming in, for me, give the rest of the girls a bit of a, you know, their energy levels are higher, obviously, and I think they give them a wee boost. And you know, like Laura played yesterday, involved early doors, you know, just being busy, you know, just looking energetic. I think that sort of the other players feed off that, don't they?
Well, yeah, because they know that if they mess up, that's the person that's kind of breathing down their neck to come in behind them. But for me, I don't understand why Jenna Fife started, but I could probably talk for about an hour about that situation. But anyway, I'm happy that Laura Berry started. I'm happy that Raf got a start. You know, it was some rotation that needed to be done. But for me, I'd maybe have started May Croft, to be perfectly honest, because it was Motherwell, so there wasn't really that much to lose, and you're giving her more opportunity to play and shine. And she's a good player. She could really help us in the midfield there with her energy, as you said, with pace that she's got. So I get what you're saying, but I don't know how much difference that really makes, because they don't seem to really play that much differently depending who's around them, unless it's wholesale changes, then it kind of messes things up.
Yeah. Berry, Howitt and Wilkinson, Demi, was that a more pleasing front line to you?
Yeah, I mean, look, I know Kirsty Howitt, there was something wrong with whatever part of her leg. I can't remember exactly. I know she had something, and apparently that's why she didn't start on Wednesday night. But if Kirsty Howitt's fit, she should be starting. Especially the form she's been on of late. Especially sort of helpful that Kirsty can play up front or in behind the strikers. So you can play her almost anywhere in an attacking position, and she's likely to get you a goal. Laura Berry, she's got the pace up front that maybe out with Kirsty Howitt our strikers don't have. So yeah, it was quite pleasing to see those three up front, and everyone said yesterday Wilko would score a few because it was Motherwell. So it was pleasing to have the three of them up front together.
Yeah, I think Kirsty's supposedly nursing a dodgy calf, which is possibly why she didn't start against Glasgow City. And I think Laura Berry was nailed on to start yesterday. One, because it was Motherwell, and two, because when she came on for half an hour against Glasgow City, we looked an awful lot better up front with a bit more pace up front, And while we're on Laura Berry, we were all a bit surprised that she was nominated for the PFA Young Player of the Year award, but for her to win, it's been incredible. For her, particularly, she's hardly played for us, and she was in and out the Motherwell team. So for her peers to think that she's that good a player, or to realise she's that good a player, what a great honour for her. You know what I mean? So huge congratulations to Laura for picking up that Young Player of the Year award last night at the awards.
Absolutely, that would have pleased you, Carl.
Yeah, I think as well, because obviously Laura plays for Scotland, as do most of the young players in the Scottish leagues that would be making the votes. I think that's probably a big contributing factor to it, because she is always chipping in with goals and is well known across the board. But I think it's a big accolade for her, considering she was at Motherwell, kind of at us, and then back and forth. But she's a great player. We know what she can do for us, and if Joe gives her half the chance, that she'll take it. So yeah, amazing for her, and I'm sure down the line she'll be winning the Player of the Year and whatnot across the board.
Absolutely. Maybe explains why she was taken off yesterday, Car. She was
hot, and she does what she wants.
Demi, absolutely, maybe. But Demi, the first goal, obviously, the mentioned Laura Berry was provider. And Wilko helping herself to another goal against Motherwell.
Yeah, we all said, last week on Wednesday night that Wilko would score a few. To start with, I think I said to Carr, I thought there was a curse out on Wilko. She'd had 5 or 6 chances before that either the keeper saved or the defender put it off the line. So when she finally got that first one in, it was good for, well, obviously the team, but for her as well, because it seemed like, it was going to be one of those days where she just wasn't going to be able to get one, but she did and got many more after that.
No. Wolf, I was kind of thinking, was it going to be another case of the super goalie? Because we always seem to come up against teams that the goalies play outstanding against us, don't they?
Yeah, as Paul's saying here, we could have been double figures yesterday. We missed a good few chances, and we missed a number of fairly decent chances before Wilko opened the scoring. And for it to only be 1-0 down, for it to only be 1-0 up at half time was testament to their goalkeeper and their bad finishing, to be perfectly honest. Motherwell offered absolutely nothing in the first half. In fact, they offered absolutely nothing the whole game, which is the way it should be when we play a team like that. They are, as I said, they're lucky to finish top 6, and fair play to them for doing so. But that's their season. Finishing top 6 is probably beyond their expectations. So that's great for them. But yeah, decent goal. Wilko lethal from my yard. Absolutely lethal from my yard. And then obviously the second goal, it's that early in the second half was Mia lethal from my yard. So at least we're getting into positions to tap them in, because you have to be there to put them in, and it's decent football that's getting us in those positions. The concerning thing is that obviously we had to make a substitution just before half time, because Cathy Hill went off with an injury. It was replaced by Tess. Didn't really upset the apple cart too much, because, as I say, Motherwell didn't offer anything up front. We don't know the extent of Cathy's injury. We don't know what it is. It might, going forward, might do us a favour if she misses the next game, because Cathy could do with a rest, and might have to force Joe's hand into giving her a rest. Then again, maybe not.
Maybe not. Mia helped herself to a goal, Carr. Showed faith that she should have started, the game before, perhaps. So, and nice to be rewarded with a goal.
Yeah, and it's Tess that does all the hard work. You know, we want them to get down the line and put balls into the box, but Tessa Middag wasn't the person that I thought would be doing that for us. But it's nice that somebody did it, and I was happy that she got a wee assist, and she did great work down the line, and then put the ball over the top for Mia, who was running in to just tap it in, as Will says. Exactly what we've done for seasons gone by, and we've kind of stopped doing recently. So it's nice that we did that again, and hopefully it's a sign that we can keep doing that going forward.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was Harry Maguire again after what he did in the wing for Man United. He was playing wing for them and crossed the ball in, and Tess was doing exactly the same. So it was a really, she dug out a really good cross, and yeah, Mia was at the back post. So
Yeah, but
yeah,
Brian, I don't know why that's a surprise to people, because okay, maybe a surprise that Tess is in that position.
yeah,
But I mean, she can fit. I mean, technically, she's. I mean, how many times did she ping an absolutely brilliant ball? You know, from back to front. So we know she can do that. It's just probably a bit of surprise that she was wide, but we know that she's got that in the locker. That's the sort of ball that she can play. You know what I mean?
I think it's just generally a position that you would never normally think she would be in, wide on the touchline and crossing a ball in. So I think I was maybe coming up from the wrong angle. It was it was just weird seeing her way out there and crossing a ball in for.
Unlike the ball which came from the perfect angle to be tapped in.
It was, yes, it was the easiest tap in you'll ever get. Demi, penalty next. I don't think the goalie could have much complaint here, could you?
No, I mean, we all kind of looked at each other more like, because it's, sort of similar to Wednesday. But yeah, sort of no complaints. I was a bit shocked that, Wilko stepped up to take it, given that Rio Hardy was on the pitch. But you knew when Wilko initially, you knew Wilko wasn't going to miss. And then, there was a bit of a palaver going on, and she moved the ball 3 times, and the ref kept telling her to wait. And I think it was either me and Cara or me and Laura. We sort of just looked at each other and we're like, she's going to miss this now, just with all the commotion. But, she didn't, and 3-0. So.
Yeah, but Brian, before that, we really should have had at least a third and possibly a fourth goal. I mean, Lizzie takes a corner. There's a kind of 2 or 3 players going up. Raf gets something on it. I don't know if it's their head or her shoulder. Puts it in, and the referee for some reason chalks it off for a foul. I mean, it's. I think Paul put in the comments that it should have seen that. I've watched it back a couple of times. I don't see anything wrong with it at all. I can't see where the foul is. You know what I mean? And then a couple of minutes after that, Cara, close your ears. Ball comes across. Laura Berry's got an absolute doozy of a header, and she just completely misses it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's for as good a player as Laura is, she should be scoring that. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
But so that should have put us in easy street before the penalty, but the penalty really put us in easy street, I guess.
Yeah, and I suppose Mia missed a one-on-one with the goalie as well, Car. She was, straight through, and before the penalty, she after pretty much straight after she scored, she was one-on-one with the goalie, and again, just a little bit of lack of composure at the last minute.
A little bit, but also good goalkeeping from Motherwell's point of view, because she makes herself big and stops the ball. But Mia did have an out ball there. She could have passed it across to Laura Berry, who just had to tap it in. But it's all about learning. They're young yet. I do agree that Laura Berry should have scored that header. She absolutely should have buried that into the back of the net. But that's just where we're at the moment, where our players just can't seem to find the back of the net, and we're struggling. Easy chances, we can't seem to take them. But we're getting the chances, which is nice. But obviously, again, it's Motherwell, so chances will come. But it matters come Sunday if those chances are there and we take them.
Absolutely. And then Wilko back at it again, Demi. Mia having a shot on the edge of the box. The goalie parries it out, and to say Wilko blasted it in the goal's an understatement. It was an absolute thunderbolt. Yeah,
I mean, we sort of had a debate in the stands. None of us even knew who put the goal in until Rangers tweeted it. The stadium announcer didn't even. There was shouts of it being Mia's. There was shouts of it being Wilko's. There was another shout, I can't remember who, but yeah, it was a great strike from Wilko in the end. Had to watch it back because I wasn't actually convinced that Wilko had touched the ball, but having seen it back, she very much did. So yeah,
absolutely. And then there was a header at the back post, Wolf. I think that even watching the game, you were sort of debating who scored it, but it was that girl again, wasn't it, Katie Wilkinson?
Yeah, and he's by the way for that previous goal. I've got my notes here. Mia shot, parry. So we're definitely of a similar vintage because I used the word parry in my notes as well. So there you go with the goalkeeper. So yeah, goal number 5, cross in from Indian. Wilko's just there to head it by the keeper. And I mean the game's done. We're an easy streak, but now the last 3 goals came in the last 10 minutes of the game. You know what I mean? So really, it was done by the penalty. It was done. You could see. I mean, Motherwell they were basically just trying to keep the score down. You can see even after we scored the penalty, a couple of other players were sort of shouting to their teammates, "Look, let's just kind of try and keep it tight and keep the score down." They knew then that they weren't they weren't going to get back into the game, and they probably just didn't want to get embarrassed. But yeah, I mean, Wilko likes a goal against Motherwell. I think that's 3 hat-tricks against Motherwell this season. I think she's had. You know what I mean? Which is incredible. I mean, talking about Rangers Twitter as Carl was earlier. I mean, for the tweet, Wilko scores 5 and another hat trick. Well, if you score 5, you have to have a hat trick because a hat trick's 3 and less than 5. I didn't quite understand where they were coming from. They weren't having their best day on the social media for it.
Yeah, and obviously the 5th goal, Carr, was the last one. Mia McCauley again, heavily involved, has a shot, and Wilko speculatively probably puts out a leg and pokes it in the bottom corner.
Yeah, it's quite a nice goal, the way that she just kind of almost toe pokes it just into the back of the net. It's all she needs to do. Reminds me almost of Jermaine Defoe. The one, I think it was Livingston, wasn't it? Where he just kind of touches it into the back of the net, but not quite as nice as that goal, but same kind of vein. But once Wilko scores a couple, she's always going to get more. But again, it's against teams like that where she's getting better service and it's almost easier for her. But they all count, and that's her on 44 goals in all competitions now. So she's matched her at the number on her back, which is crazy. We all said at the start of the season, would she get there? And she already has, and there's a few games left, so she could surpass that, which is crazy to think about. But that's just the kind of striker that she is.
Is 50 an option?
She could maybe get 6 against Hearts if they play their C team. But
well, a few games, as you say. The league table currently states, as Demi mentioned earlier, Hibs are on 70 points, played 29. Glasgow City, 67 points, played 29. Rangers, 65 points, 29 played. So, and Celtic, 59, 29. So apart, that gap, Demi, it's 5 points. We're snookered. We're looking for help. And this weekend, obviously, it's Hibs versus Glasgow City. So the draw's the ideal result there, isn't it?
I mean, the draw is the only result that gives us any hope of winning the league this season. So, we all have to hope and pray. We'll be going to bed on Saturday night praying that there's a draw in that game. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that this is the second, potentially 3rd season in a row now where, we've been in the driving seat to win the league, and then, we have a couple of bad results, and now we're relying on, other teams to do us a favour so that we can win the league. So yeah, something's got to change on that front. We can't just keep hoping and praying, because obviously it hasn't worked the past 2 years. So we can't keep hoping and praying that, other teams' results will allow us to win the league.
Well, Brian, we'll have to question. We were in the driving seat 6 or 8 weeks ago. You have to question where it's all going wrong. You know what I mean? And it's not. What's that, Demi?
The 2 games before the winter break, I think, is where the wheels fell off a bit.
Well, that's what's killed us, the 2-3-0 defeats just before just at the turn of the year. But I mean, as Carl said last week, we've not really been ourselves since we went to Arsenal and got an absolute scalping, because Joe went down there and seemed to go, we'll just go toe to toe with them, which was never ever going to work. And we seem to have had a bit of suffered a little bit from that. I mean, we scored plenty of goals early in the season, and the problem we've got now is we just can't keep goals. We just can't keep goals out at the back. I don't know why that is. I mean, I don't know whether the Arsenal defeat kind of demoralised the back line, put some doubt in their mind about their ability. I don't really know. But, I mean, in the league, I looked at it the other day, and from memory, I think we've lost more than anybody else in the top 6 outside of Motherwell. You know what I mean? Which is nuts when you consider what we're achieving, what we're trying to achieve. And when you consider that our goal difference is as high as it is, and it's miles ahead of everybody else. It just tells you how many goals we've scored. We just can't keep the door shut at the back, and that's the big problem. So when games are tight, we're losing goals. As we said, the last 2 clean sheets we've kept have both been against Motherwell. We can't keep clean sheets against the bigger teams, and because they're the tighter games, that's when we're dropping the points. That's the worrying thing for me. We have to look at why that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Card teams that win leagues are usually built on good defences, aren't they? You know, that's the number one thing that, you know, wins you leagues. I think it's if you keep clean sheets, then you fancy yourself to score. So it's baffling how it's just totally went, you know, pear-shaped, doesn't it?
I think that comes down to the manager, doesn't it? She changed it too many times throughout the course of the season, chopping and changing defenders constantly almost at the start of the season. Then it settled for a while, and then she changed it again to a 4, to a 3, back to a 4, to a 3. It's too much for them to take on. Football's relatively simple from a defensive standpoint. Don't let the ball get behind you, kind of thing. But she's made it too complicated and has given them too much instruction. And I think that has been the problem, along with recruitment probably not being the best. We let Ailey Austin go out on loan when she could have done a job for us. She could have helped us when we've really, you know, Kathy's been struggling for a while. You can tell that since she got that knee injury last season. She's been struggling a bit. She's lost a bit of pace. We could have done with someone like Ailey Austin just to kind of shore up. Raf's had 2 head injuries, so it's been out, not really being played outside of that, which is bizarre to me. We had Tess in there for a lot of a period of time, which she shouldn't have. So I think it just comes down to that, to be honest. And I don't know if they work together. I think it needs to be a more cohesive unit. I mean, you think back to Nick and Rachel when we had them in the back line together. Best pals, they knew what each other was going to do. It worked well. And I think having too many different people between Tess, between Leah, between Kathy, I think they just didn't know what the other one was going to do. And it was putting a bit of a fright into them. They didn't, not that they don't trust each other, but I think they just didn't know what each other was going to do.
You'll be able to answer that one as well. Is Eddie a centre back or a wing back?
You wouldn't know.
I mean, she
I think
plays
she's a wing back, but I don't actually know.
I thought she came to us as a wing back,
I think
but she's played at centre back.
She plays wing back for Scotland, so I would assume.
Yeah, I think she was at Hibs. She was a wing back.
Yeah.
But Brian, do you think part of the reason is the chopping and changing of the goalkeeper that we seem to constantly do? And then that brings up the question of why, that was mentioned earlier in the comments that we did touch on last week, why bother bringing in an Icelandic international goalkeeper, playing in one game and then send her back to where she came from? I don't understand. I know she was signed for next season, but what's the point? I mean, if you're bringing her in with an eye to next season, I get these games are important. It's the top 6. You know that's coming before you bring her in. So surely you play her rather than chopping and changing between 2 goalkeepers who are always prone to a mistake.
Continuity, continuity breeds confidence, and confidence wins games. If you're constantly changing things, there's doubts in the starting 11 because you haven't played much together, or you're just not. It's just not cohesive enough because you're not getting the time on the pitch. You're not getting the relationships there. So I've always said for ages that you pick your best goalie and you go with it from the first game of the season to the end of the season, unless obviously if there's a drop in form, injuries, whatever. But that's the only time you establish you pick your number 1 and you go with it, and you die in that hill, don't you?
I don't think we have a consistent number. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't think anybody, including Joe, knows who our best goalkeeper is, because they'll both have a good game and it's like, right, yeah, you'll stay. And then they'll have 3 absolute howlers. So I don't think anybody knows who our best goalkeeper is at the minute, to be honest, Brian.
Yeah, the problem with that, Brian, is right that when she's been chopping and chasing them, we don't seem to have been chasing them because they've had the howler. For example, Jenna gave away a ridiculous penalty on Wednesday, plays on Sunday.
Yeah.
You would think if she's going to change it, then she says, look, that was a howler. We're going to change it up here. You know what I mean? So would it surprise if she changes the goalie again for Sunday?
No, it wouldn't really surprise me, but I'd be happy about it if she did, because I don't really see why we have Vic sitting on the bench, which is obviously Jenna's an international goalkeeper, but hasn't played for Scotland in about 10 years, I think. Whereas Vic was playing regularly with New Zealand, I thought was brought in to be our number one. Jenna would be the backup, and then has ended up being put on the back burner. It's bizarre to me. I know that Vic's prone to mistakes as well. It's not just Jenna. Vic's had her fair share of them too, but it'd make more sense for me for Vic to be playing more. But I don't know. Knowing our luck, it'll be Jenna to the end of the season now, and that'll be that. And we'll get what we want. We don't want them to change them, so it'll just be Jenna to the end of the season now.
Quick one to all of yous. Is the manager under pressure if she doesn't win the league?
She's gone if she doesn't win the
It's
league.
gone either way, I think.
I think she's gone regardless.
You think?
Yep, I do. I think the Scottish Cup final will be our last game in charge of Rangers, irrespective of how the league finishes. I just think she's probably realised herself she's running out of ideas. It's not great. The very fact that we're throwing the league away again, even if we manage to somehow miraculously claw it back, if we do get a draw it between Hibs and City on Sunday, and we somehow manage to win our last 3 games, which will win us the title, because Demi did all the maths and really pickled everybody's brain yesterday with that. Even then, I think that's just shake everybody's hand and say, for me, it's not been the same. I said this to Carrie yesterday. For me, we've not been the same since Jay Bradford left. The team's just not been the same this season since Jay left, and I don't know why.
Every manager needs a good lieutenant, don't they, Carr?
Yeah, and it's almost Gerard Michael Beale, isn't it? That maybe she was the brains behind the operation, because we were very rigid in the way we played when Jay was here, and then since she's gone, and I don't even know the guy's name, since he's came in the last couple of weeks, it's been all over the place, and I think it is too much instruction. We were very set, this is how we play, and that's it, nothing changes it, and now we're all over the place, one formation to the next, 1 week to midweek, it changes constantly, and I think it's just too much.
Brian, it could be as simple as Jay didn't mind speaking up, and getting, and telling look, the manager and telling the players, look, this is the deal. Don't know if the new assistant's like that. I mean, I don't know, because I obviously wasn't in the dressing room and I don't know them personally, but Jay seemed to be the type of person that she didn't really care who she upset, and she would make sure she was heard when she spoke. It might just be that the lack of fresh ideas coming in. I really don't know, but it struck me that we haven't been the same since you left.
Yeah, it's there's been lots of changes staff wise as well, isn't there? There's been ins and outs, Car. There's been there's been folk just suddenly leaving out of nowhere, and it can't be good, can it?
No, and it's not the cause, but is that in retaliation for some reason? Is there something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, that suddenly a lot of staff are up and leaving and going elsewhere all of a sudden? But obviously it happens a lot of clubs, but it seems to be more noticeable with us that it's constant changes 1 week to the next. You're seeing a new person in the dugout or coaching or physio or what have you. Maybe that's just the way that is, and we're just more noticing it this season, but there's definitely been a lot more changes than there ever was previously, and I don't know whether that is down to that or better opportunities come up for folk, and I'm just looking into it too much. I don't know.
Maybe. And of course, we've got the small matter of an Old Firm derby. Demi, score prediction?
The game's not at Broadwood, so I think we'll beat them. The Cars only seem to, be on us at home, so I think we'll beat them. We'll go 2-1.
2-1. Wolf, Rangers something, Celtic 0. What will it be? Or are you going to do the unbelievable?
No, there's Paul saying it's 2-0. No, I think they'll probably score, because as I say, we can't keep Wayne at close. But I won't predict that. I'll go for a heart-stopping 1-0 to Rangers. It's going to be, it could be a long afternoon, I think. So yeah, we'll go for a 1-0. You know something, Brian? I don't care if it's 9-8, as long as we've got the 9 and they've got the 8. As long as we get the 3 points, because we'll know before we start. I think obviously we're the 10+4 game, so we'll know before we start whether winning the game's going to do us any good or not. Yeah, because I don't know what time it's at.
12-10.
Well, there you go. So we'll know even before we get to Hamilton, what we need to do. And if there is going to be a winner, in the Hibs Glasgow City game, right? I hope it's Glasgow City because I really don't want to be hosting Hibs' title party the last game of the season at Ibrox. I really don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, we did that was it last year, the year before with Glasgow City? Yeah, we hosted one before, so we don't want to be doing that again, certainly.
Yeah, but that was one we hosted because we couldn't beat them.
Mm.
I mean, this will be one that the league will be over before the game even starts. I don't really want to be in that situation. Thank you.
Oh no, definitely not. Car prediction?
No one else. It's going to be like 6-2 or something, just because we all think it's going to be tight and whatever. But I'd never predict that against them. 2-1 probably, but then I'm there, so everyone's convinced we're going to lose because I'm actually going to the game. So if we do, it's my fault, and I'm banned from every future game going.
Cara, can you turn up 5 minutes into the game? I think that worked the last time, but that was at Airdrie. Did you not turn up just as the game was starting because you were late?
I was waiting outside for Laura because she was late,
yeah.
So we didn't actually get in. Yeah. Oh, I can if you want. I'll just stand outside for 10 minutes.
That was Airdrie, and this is Hamilton, so it's a different venue. So who knows?
I've also not been at either of the games at Hamilton this season, and Laura's convinced it's because I've not been there that we've won them. But I don't know why the team was suddenly not perform because I'm there, but superstitions and all that. But no, 3-2, I think. No, 2-1 or whatever I said, I don't know.
2-1. 2-1.
That's two different predictions.
I'm going to join you, Wolf. I think it's going to be a tight 1-0. I think we're going to win 1-0. It's going to be extremely tight. I just don't see many goals in this game, I'm afraid. So I'll go for 1-0. I'll join you. But
sorry, Brian, just before we go, it would be very remiss of us because I know she's not new us anymore, but Paul points out, former Rangers youth player from way, way back in the day, Erin Cuthbert just won the league with Chelsea. I also noticed last night she's been voted Chelsea's Player of the Year, which I was a bit surprised at. I don't really watch them, but I was a bit surprised we voted the Player of the Year. But fair play. I mean, it just proves that you can come out of Rangers Academy and all sorts of things can happen to you because, I mean, you know, she's won the league's Player of the Year. You know what I mean? She's had a hell of a career at Chelsea, you know? Yeah,
absolutely. She's done everything apart from this elusive Champions League, isn't it, Car?
We don't need to talk about that. But she had, and that's future Rangers captain Erin Cuthbert because she's going to retire at us. I'm dead set on it. She's going to come back up the road at about 45 probably, play about 2 games and see off her career with us, hopefully. But she really is one of us. She loves the club, everything that we stand for. She's a great player, and I can't wait for the day that she's back wearing our badge. And, of course, Megan Bell won the league with Nottingham Forest as well.
Yes.
Having played about 5 minutes, but
and unfortunately got released the next day.
Yeah.
So,
but she was only on like a 6-week contract or whatever it was. It was till the end of the season, to her fair play. So hopefully she finds a club that'll actually play her and get use out of her.
Absolutely. But that is us, folks. A double done for tonight with 2 games to speak about. But we'll be back next Monday, reacting to the Celtic Rangers game at Hamilton.
Result pending. I'm not well next Monday.
I am the same.
It could be with the Brian Fotheringham show next Monday.
Brian and Alan.
Me and my pals. But yes. Yeah. Sick notes will be rescinded on Monday.
Keep believing.
Absolutely.
I've been telling you this. No one listens to me.
I'm trying, Demi. I'm really trying. It's hard after last seasons.
Yeah, but keep believing, as Demi says, keep believing. But we will be back next Monday, obviously speaking about the Celtic Rangers game. Thank you for joining us, folks. It's been a busy one with the 2 games, but my thanks to Demi, Car, and Wilf. Thank you all, folks.
No problem. Everybody who's in the comments, thanks very much for being there, Paul, as always. And obviously, you've got 6 minutes, folks, to make yourself a cup of tea and get log back in for the Monday Night Ramble, which is just coming up without any of us on it this week.
Correct. So go back with the Ramble in 5 minutes and you'll get the main show at 7:30. But thanks for joining us, and we'll speak soon.